Welcome to the Alchemy of Ascension Season 5, activating Starseeds, walk-ins, and the new human of the Golden Age. I'm your host, Waxéla Sananda, and today I'm actually going to be interviewed by Elisa Herrera. Welcome, Elisa.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with Shayla.
And I'm so grateful that you are doing this, and I know that everybody's going to be excited to learn about what you do as well. But first, I would love to invite everyone to join us in a short alignment process to get focused and present. And so we can all be open to receive whatever comes through in this conversation today. So first, I invite you to close your eyes if you're in a place where that's safe, and take a deep breath into the belly. And as you're breathing, just bring your presence into your body with every breath, becoming more present. And now tune your awareness into your heart center, making contact with the light in your heart. And feel this heart light growing, glowing, and moving out around your chest and around your body, connecting you to everyone else who is listening on this call. We are a family of light, all creating this new earth together. And then take a breath and bring your heart light up through the top of your head, all the way up into the center of Central Sun. And this is the heart light of Central Sun. So bring that heart light down now into the crown of your head, through every energy center of your body, and continue that line of energy down into the center of the earth, making contact with the heart light of Mother Earth. And now breathing that energy up through the layers of the earth into the base of your spine, moving up your spine into every energy center to the top of the head. And now breathe into your heart center again, bringing the light from above, the light from below, and the light within into a holy trinity of light. And in this light, find yourself more present, focused, and expanded, and ready to receive whatever is for your highest good, not only in this conversation today, but in each of the sessions that will be coming up over the next couple of weeks. Thank you for doing that with me. Come on back. You can open your eyes. And now I'm going to hand it over to Elisa. Thank you again, Elisa, for doing this. And I'm going to hand the reins over to you.
Very good, Waxéla. Thank you so much. That felt fantastic. I loved it. I feel much more centered. So I'm excited to do this today because Waxéla and I met at the hypnosis class that we did together with Alba Weinman and Antonio Sangio in North Carolina. And we connected and we bonded. And I am just excited to do this today. And Waxéla, I want to start first with getting to know and understand, how did you go from maybe not being spiritual to being spiritual? Like, how did that happen? Or maybe it was since you were little, you know, some people are since they're born. So tell us your story about becoming the spiritual enlightenment goddess that you are.
Your words, not mine, but thank you. Yeah, I love to share my origin story. I actually was a contactee from really my earliest memories. I can remember being probably about 3 years old, and I was lying in bed one night, rural Iowa, so kind of in the middle of nowhere. I was in a second-story bedroom in a house on top of a hill. And lights did not normally show up at the second-story floor, you know, in the window. But one night, and this is my earliest contact memory, there was a light at my window, and I I didn't know what it was, but I just knew this is unusual, because even if a car was driving by, it wouldn't reach my window. The light would not reach. So what happened was, that was my first major contact experience, where a being came in and I was connected by a silver cord that I could see going out the window. And I was inside this chamber, which at the time was very uncomfortable. I didn't know what was going on. And I was thrashing and trying to get away and trying to yell for my mom. But I was paralyzed for a period of time. And then I felt like there were like the prickles of your foot going to sleep all up and down my body. And suddenly the energy went away, and I felt I had thrashed to the side of my bed. I'd managed to get to the side, and I just stuck there and felt like suction. And then everything went away. I fell to the ground and I stood up. And so I had this thought, but I realized later it wasn't my own thought. It was an implant thought that was, don't tell the adults, they won't understand. And I got back in bed, went to sleep, and didn't tell the adults ever, until now that I'm an adult, I finally started talking about it. So then I have had these contact experiences throughout my life. I understand, because I went to a hypnotherapist. It was, let's see, a QHHT practitioner many years ago. I wanted to understand what was the purpose of that first experience I had. And I got to revisit it from my adult perspective, which was really helpful, because as a 3-year-old, I just had no clue what was happening, But as an adult, I was able to go back and review it. I was actually able to interview the being that was there, sort of administrating the session. And I found that what happened was, I was being connected. It was a pre-incarnational agreement to a council, a light council of extradimensional beings that I was one of. It was a council of 12. Each of the 12 represents 12 other genetic, whether it's galactic beings, so galactic races, actually. So this is how I became a galactic shaman, through this interaction and connection to this council. I am able to send and receive information from the 12 council members, who represent 12 races, each one. So it's a lot of different races of beings that I'm connected to through this agreement. And once I understood how to access that connection and send and receive information, I then understood how, okay, this is my purpose. This is what I'm doing here. And a lot of that information, these are all light beings. They all have the interest of the ascension of the earth and humanity at heart. That is the purpose. That's why, we're doing this work. And that is my major focus as a human here on earth at this time, is the ascension of the people of earth. That's my mission, is to assist in the ascension process. And so knowing that everything I do is aligned with that intention, I teach people about not just ascension, but getting in the body and expanding yourself. And we'll get into that a little more later. But that's really how I became. I wasn't openly spiritual as a child, but I always had this connection to nature, to, I saw things that other people didn't see. I had imaginary friends. My mom said, she told me as an adult, she's like, I knew not all of your imaginary friends were imaginary. And I would go out in nature and commune, whether it was with the beings of the earth, the tree people, the galactics. They would show up for me, and they still do. And I feel grateful for that. And then through the years, when I was in my early 20s, I traveled. I was actually met by my twin flame, who was a walk-in, and that's part of why this summit is also about walk-ins. He was a walk-in who had come into the body of someone who had walked out for a little while, and the agreement was that he would repair that body, get that body back to full speed, and then go. I didn't know that. All I knew at the time was this amazing shaman came and found me. We traveled across the south of the United States, starting in Texas and then going to amazing sites along the way. We ended up then going to Kauai, Hawaii, and spending 3 years together, where I did get deeply trained in shamanism and galactic shamanism, and just mystical experiences, multidimensional experiences, opening portals. My whole life was magical during that time. And it wasn't easy. It definitely wasn't easy, because there's a lot of shadow work that comes up too during that process. So then, I've really been openly and devoutly spiritual my entire adult life. And I'm very clear that this is my mission, and I love doing this. So I'm grateful that I've had the training that I've had, and that I'm able to assist others in getting the training they need.
That's beautiful. So then from there, from the QHHT session, and what happened after that? Like, how did we go now that you were doing all these summits? Like, what was in between that and the summits?
Yeah. So interestingly, I started out, I did not want to do this. Like, I was happy behind the scenes. I was happy just doing my thing, teaching meditation, on the side. And I didn't see myself as a front person for the Ascension movement at all. That was not part of my plan, but that was part of my plan. I just didn't know it at the time. And so I was doing meditations. I was asked to start leading groups and classes in spirituality. And what people started to find is I had access to a lot of knowledge. Now, it wasn't that I had this knowledge independently, but I'm able to read questions. So when someone asks a question, I'm able to tap into the information and channel basically the answer. And so I kept getting asked to do more and more courses and classes and work with people. And it started kind of expanding from there. And then my guidance, really interesting thing happened. 3:33 a.m. Every day for a period of 3 months, I would be woke up, and then I would go meditate at the end of my bed for 3 hours. And I did not plan this. This is just the way it worked. Interestingly, the way I was woken up, there was a creak. There was a floorboard next to my bed. When someone stepped on it, it would creak. It would make a significantly loud creaking noise. 3:33 a.m. Every morning that would creak. There was no human person stepping on it, no physical person anyway, but it would creak and wake me up. I would go to the end of my bed and meditate for 3 hours. This lasted a period of 3 months. At the end of the 3 months, and I was getting training. This wasn't just a silent meditation. I was being taken places. I was being shown things. I was being trained. At the end of that 3 months, my guidance said, now go advertise yourself as a psychic and start reading for people. And I'm like, what? And I was in rural Iowa again at this time. So I'm like, I don't know about that. That's too much, right? Never wanted to call myself a psychic. And they said, do it. And I had been doing energy work for people. I've been doing Reiki sessions and like kind of quiet readings. I called them intuitive readings. I never wanted to use that word, but they're like, nope, you're going to use the word psychic. I'm like, okay, let's see how this goes. So I did. And immediately overnight, my business quadrupled. As soon as I started, and I'm like, okay, great. I'll just follow guidance because obviously, something I don't. And so that started expanding. And from there, I started just really expanding my knowledge, my circle, my coursework, I don't do hands-on healing, but I hold space for people to heal. So I think it's very important for people to heal themselves. I just hold a container for that. Yes. I no longer do what I would call psychic readings, but again, I read the information asked in a question. Now I prefer to do that more globally, more for questions that would be for more than the individual. Like, am I going to meet my soulmate or something? Right. Personal questions. Yeah. I don't really do those. I work on a more global group consciousness collective. And answer those types of questions. So I started doing the summits a few years ago after. It was actually simultaneous. I got the prompt to write a book, which I did. I wrote The Love You Crave.
That's right. Of course,
in Ascension, Alchemy, and Connection to the Divine. At the same time I was writing, I kind of got the push to start doing summits. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I love the summit style because it's collaborative. It's a way to join, it's a feminine model where I get to be with other like-minded people. I get to ask questions and learn from like-minded people. And it's a way of collaborating. Some of the collaborations, this is season 5, some of the collaborations that have come out of these summits have been, I'm doing retreats with people that I met and first had on the summits. I'm doing classes. I'm on other people's shows and podcasts. So I love the way it naturally grows and organically and femininely we're supporting each other. I'm sharing the speaker's work, the speaker's sharing my work, and we get to all sort of be in this feminine model together. So I really, really love it. And I didn't expect that I would, but I really do. So I'm grateful that I found summits, or summits found me.
Right. Right. Oh, they're absolutely fabulous. Really, they are. And if people were interested in previous summits, do you have them available?
I do. In fact, that will be part of when at the end I'll share about the VIP packages. You can get them that way. You can also, I have a podcast. The podcast is called The Alchemy of Ascension. You can also find lots of the older interviews, not all of them, but a number of the past interviews that I've done on the Alchemy of Ascension podcast and on my YouTube channel.
Ah, okay, perfect. Perfect. And what is your YouTube channel?
It's my name, wa-shay-la.
Oh, okay.
Sananda.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Which I know
Perfect.
some people have trouble spelling, but I'll have it written so people can find it.
Well, you know what? You haven't told us how you get that name.
Oh boy. That's actually a really good story. I think you've heard it. Have you heard it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I can give kind of the nutshell version of that. But when I was traveling with the shaman who was the walk-in, who was my twin flame, we went to visit his mentor. So his mentor was also a walk-in, a Lakota medicine woman. She had an amazing walk-in story. But I won't get into that here. But when you're on her land, there were 13 medicine wheels, and you're expected to go pray in the wheels pretty much from the time you get up in the morning, sunrise to sunset. It's all day long. And that is what you do when you're there. You pray in the wheels. And there are 13 little dogs. And 2 of the little dogs would come and watch your body, especially if you're praying alone. Even if you're in a group, a couple of the little dogs would come and sit with your body and watch out for you while you're out, because that land was in another dimension of reality, and you go really, really, really far in those meditations and to high states, I guess would be a good way to say it. So one morning I said, today I would like to receive my name, my spirit name. I always knew that my birth name was not my spirit name. My mom even told me she knew she named me the wrong name when I was little. And it was a lovely childhood name, but I was ready, I was ready to embody more of who I am. And also receiving this name was a gift of stepping more into my power, and a type of walk-in experience as well, as in integrating the monad or the higher self. So what happened was, during this journey that I took in the medicine wheel, I was met by 2 Mayan grandmothers. That now, when people say, were they real? I will say they were more real than most people in 3D, because they were higher dimensional beings manifested in bodies. They're with me as, as clear as this table in front of me, but more. And there's more information in a higher dimensional experience. So these women were there with me, no doubt about that. And they felt extremely physical the whole experience was very physical to me. So one was working with my heart center, and she had her hand opening my heart chakra and just really expanding that energy, opening me up to receive. I didn't know at the time what they were doing. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then the other one was working with my crown chakra, and she was working to open my crown energy simultaneously. So I have one working in the front of me and one working above me. I'm sure there were many beings that were unseen around me, but these were the two that I was with. And so in one, I call it an eternal moment, because it was an expansive moment where I felt my energy expand. I felt just this massive opening, and I received my name, wa-shay-la, and I saw it. I felt it. I knew what it felt like in every cell of my body. I knew what it was connected to and who I was as wa-shay-la in past and future lifetimes. I understood the sound frequency, and it was synesthesia. The sound had color, and the color had sound.
Wow.
And the meaning had this reverberation across the galaxy that was who I am. And I understood that embodying this name, that taking this name into my heart and into my body, meant that I was stepping on to this path in a way that was truly of service. And there was kind of no going back once I made this my name and accepted this as my name. And I accepted that and received it. And it was one of the most powerful experiences of my entire life.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. So it was 2 years later that I made that my legal name. And
Wow.
it was super powerful and really just incredible experience that I'm grateful for. So thank you for asking me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I just love it. It's so special. I feel like it's something that people should know, because it is very special. Your name is very special. So it's an interesting tidbit. So the next thing I wanted to ask you about was, what is embodied ascension? That's something that you use a lot in your summit. So what does that actually mean?
Yes. So embodied ascension is that's the name of my training is embodied ascension. It's my 30 years. Basically, I've been on this path for 30 years as an adult. I started in my late teens, really being on this path. So I've made a lot of mistakes. I've done a lot of things that don't work, and I've done a lot of things that do work. So I've condensed all of those things into a 6-month training course, which I call Embodied Ascension. Embodied Ascension is bringing your presence into your body, becoming embodied, holding a higher frequency, an ascended frequency of light, so that we can really anchor the ascension into our physical presence, into our bodies as individuals, but into the earth. And ultimately what happens is that we have this torus field of light around us. The torus field becomes magnetically attractive to all things ascension and all things that are for our highest good and for our purpose, in line with our purpose. And so, a lot of spiritual people are all kind of about getting out. We like it out here, right? We like to float in the ethers. We like to play and get out of body. But this is a time, the ascension is a time for coming in to the body. This is a time where it's not about leaving the body. We get to do that when we're done with these bodies. We get to be non-physical the whole rest of the time, right? But we have this unique experience to have this body and raise the frequency of it while we're in it, in this short period of time that we're on the earth. And so that's what it is all about, is like getting in and bringing the presence in. And when we do that, when we're really embodied, our manifestations work out. Our presence brings us more of what will help us on our path. We attract the people, the tribe, we attract like-minded, we attract the things, also the challenges that will have us expand and grow. And so it's really both a fun and exciting thing, also a challenging thing sometimes to be embodied, but it's what we're here for. And that is what causes the ascension to happen. Because as we anchor light into our bodies, we're anchoring more light onto the planet and into the places we go. And we're having the people around us, or they're experiencing that light that has them amplify their light or go away. One or the other usually happens. And it's, that to me is what the purpose of this work is all about.
Wow, that's beautiful. I love it. So what do your embodied ascension clients experience when they go through the course?
Yeah, there are a lot of different, there are actually 11 modules. I've modularized it, and then we have group calls and individual calls as well. But they experience, like I said, the embodiment, bringing up that light. And here's the interesting thing that happens. As you raise the frequency of your body, the shadow and all of the density, if you want to call it that, the density that was in place before has to come out in order to hold a new level of light. So you raise your frequency and then you do your shadow work. And people will say, well, I've already done this. I've worked on this for years. The thing is, that's not a bad thing. It's just a new layer. I call it the infinite layers of the onion peeling off, because every time we raise our frequency, another layer of that shadow comes up to be cleared. And it has to be that way. It's like gravity. As we expand our light, we let go of more shadow. Otherwise, we already would have been holding that level of light if we didn't have that density there, right? So It's not to be judged, just like gravity, it will cause you to fall down if you're an infant or elderly or anything in between. If you trip and fall, it's not judging you. It's just the way it works. Same with the shadow. You're not a bad person if your shadow comes up. It's just the way it works. It's actually a good thing. And so we learn to clear that. And so that is a part of it, not the whole thing, but we get really good at it. So it's interesting. I just had a client message me last week, and she said, I'm so grateful for this shadow work. She said, wow, has it been challenging and difficult and kind of horrible in some ways. And I'm so grateful I know how to deal with it so that I can move past this and get beyond it. And that's what's happening. And it's happening rapidly, and that to me just lights my heart up, because these are things that people would oftentimes run away from, right? When we bump up against our shadow, we don't want to feel that. We want to turn around and go the other way. But it's in letting that go and clearing that shadow that we're truly able to expand and feel better in our bodies. And so once people get past those shadow and get good at clearing, clients have reported getting greater their gifts, their psychic gifts, their spiritual gifts come online, greater connection to the divine, greater embodiment of, like feeling really good in their body. I've had clients say, oh, wow, I never actually realized that I was out of body. And I didn't know what it felt like to be in my body, because it's been so long since I've had an experience, maybe never, of being in here. That's a common thing that happens when people get embodied. You might not realize you're not embodied, or that you have a good portion of yourself that's not in. And once you get in, things, the colors are brighter, the smells are more potent, the food tastes better, you're in your body. So your body's getting the benefit of that, and you're getting the benefit of that. Healings happen. People have cleared all kinds of issues, healings, chronic conditions. And this isn't me waving a magic wand. This is them doing the work to have those things clear. Because as we get in and we work through and let those densities clear up, naturally a side effect is going to be better wellness, a healthier body, more energy, trauma release, things that, that have been with them for, maybe a good portion of their life, release. They find forgiveness. They find like the ability to let go of old relationships. Sometimes many of my clients have let go of like addictions or unhealthy habits that were kind of weighing them down. And these are all side effects of embodied ascension work. And sometimes it's an intention to set out and clear these things. Sometimes it's a side effect that is just a nice bonus from doing the work. But they get a whole variety of different things. One thing that does happen is everyone that does the work comes out in a higher frequency place with more light and a greater embodiment of their divinity.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Is it like every week, like 1 hour, or how do you, since it's 6 months, how do you space it out?
We meet, it's the modules are online, so people can do that at their own pace. And then we meet twice a month as a group on video calls. And then we also have a few one-on-one calls throughout the process. And then there are also side groups where the participants can communicate together we have a Voxer group for that. So there are a lot of different ways that we meet, but the bulk of the work is done on your own time. I recommend anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour per day, but you can go as fast or as slow as you want through the modules. Some people do it a second time in the 6-month period and get an even greater experience the second time, because the work meets you where you are, whether you're new at ascension work and spiritual work, or whether you've been doing it your entire life. It will meet you where you are. So every time you go through it, it's just like a good book that maybe you read in your youth and you got it in one way, and then 10 or 15 or 20 years later, you read it again. You're like, oh, wow, I understood a whole different version of this now. That's how this work is. It meets you where you are.
Ah, that's amazing. It sounds amazing. And then you're also doing some breath work as well, right? Is that included in that, or is it like a different?
It is. It's actually both. If someone wants to do just the breath work, I actually have that in my shop of my website. You can just get one class, or you can get a whole series of classes. You can do the teacher training if you want to, but it is part of ascension training, the embodied ascension training. Ascension breathwork is what I call it. And it came to me I was in a class and I was doing somebody else's breath work. And my guidance showed me, if you put this breath with this breath with this breath, then you're going to have this happen. And I could see how it allowed a person to quickly let go of the shadow and then embody themselves more through doing this certain type and style of breath. And so I started trying it myself and having friends try it, and they're like, wow, this really works. And so that is a part of the Embodied Ascension training course, as well as if someone wants that separately, they can get it. But it's powerful and super transformational. I absolutely love that breath work. And and so I'll share more about that later.
I love it. So I know something that we wanted to talk about as well was coming to the session when you came to me for your second quantum hypnosis session. And I want you to kind of tell people what your experience was like and what happened afterwards. I know it was
Well, actually, I've had a lot of hypnosis sessions through the years. I had probably 4 with I probably had 4 with the first practitioner I was with. I had one with Alba, and I had the one with you. So I've had at least 6 over the years, and I highly, highly, highly recommend. Obviously, I love them, or I wouldn't keep going, right? And so Elise, I was so happy to find you, because I know you specifically work with starseeds and empowering starseeds, and you go really deep and help people access some of that latent or hidden information and activate their purpose. And since we had introspective hypnosis training together, I had actually sent a few of my people and friends to you, and I knew that was part of what you did. So I was at a point where I was ready to integrate some things that I'd been receiving, and I felt like, okay, I really want to go super deep, because I feel like there's something more that I'm not quite accessing on my own. And so when I went to you, I was able to unlock kind of this door where I got to be with my twin flame, who I understand, he doesn't have his own body. So he's come and gone from other bodies since I've been here in this lifetime, but he doesn't have his own body. So I got to meet him again in his, I guess, fifth or sixth dimensional body in a light ship, which was amazing, to be with him again. And then this is the super awesome, powerful thing that happened. If that wasn't enough, I got to meet him in his ascended version, which is Amen-Ra, who resides in Central Sun, or who is, I should say, doesn't really reside in, but is the consciousness of the Central Sun of our universe. And I got to go there and be with him and feel what that's like. And I'm saying him, even though it's not a gendered consciousness. It's just the best way that I can describe it. And I got to be in that space with him and feel what it is like to be Central Sun emanating waves and solar flares, which are waves of ascension and love. Ultimately, it's very, very close to the God realm. And I do want to say, this isn't at this level of Amen-Ra and the consciousness of Central Sun. That's not personal to me. That's not just me. Like, that was the ascended version of my twin flame, which I understand is the ascended version of the twin flame of humanity. So not just wa-shay-la, but all of our twin flames have access to that consciousness, that ascended consciousness, which is the Central Sun, which is giving us sun, solar energy, but so much more than the way we've thought of it, this ascension energy. So when I'm a sun gazer, I go out at the dawn and sun, at sunrise and sunset, and I look at the sun and I receive that into my eyes and into my skin. That's actually a gift to be able to receive that sunlight any time of day. I just don't recommend, looking at the sun except at sunrise and sunset for your eyes. And there are ways that you can do it, but just if you're not used to that, don't go do that. But do look at it. You can safely look at the sun at sunrise and sunset and receive those codes, those light codes. That is amplifying our light body, amplifying our embodiment, and our ability to hold ascension frequencies just from sun gazing. It's such a powerful practice. So I highly recommend that. Anyway, that I got to experience that consciousness and the beauty of that. And every single day since then, Elisa, I will tune in to Amen-Ra and just feel that presence. Nothing dark or negative can exist in that space and in that consciousness. And if I'm ever feeling threatened or burdened or worried or unprotected in some way or unbalanced, I just sit, close my eyes, tune in, we can all do this, by the way, not just me, but tune my awareness and my consciousness into Central Sun and feel and bask in that love and that light. And it's such a beautiful space to be. So that's the ultimate thing that I got out of the session with you. It's hard to describe, but pure bliss and beauty and just this amazing, amazing gift. So I'm grateful for that. And it was, the safety and the comfort of being in your session that allowed me to go there.
Yeah, that's amazing. wa-shay-la, just like your business your spiritual growth, has happened and you've gone through all of this. It's kind of been the same for me. I started with QHHT, and then later on, as I was seeing Alba 1 month's work, I was like, oh my God, I got to do some of this. So then I went and got trained by her. But just like Dolores Cannon, I was receiving information through my clients. And so the reason why I'm able to go deep, like you did, and with the Starseeds, is because I am part of the 9th Dimensional Pleiadian Collective. And so I bring them in. And throughout the sessions, I have received information of like, add this, add that, do this, do that. And by putting all that together is the reason why I've been able to have a little bit more success than others in those changes that I've made. I've tweaked based on the information that I have received. And I feel like that has made a difference. And So when I hear your people like you with these stories, you know, it's like, it's again, like you say, that the journey is such a beautiful journey, right? To go to just keep growing in this space. It's a magical journey. And the more people attend your, you know, your ascension, embodied ascension, the more we will, the more we'll be able to activate, you know, these people. And that's why I call myself an activator as well, you know.
Yeah.
So because people leave activated, it's like they meet their galactic family, they see themselves as a galactic. So they know they're up there doing some work, they're here doing some work, and it's almost like it changes them forever because they're able to see things different. So I don't know, it's just, it's very magical. The work that we do, it's very magical. So
Yeah, it is. And I love that you brought up that you work with the ninth dimensional Pleiadian collective. That is, you know, that's a powerful collective to work with. And I know that they support, or if you want to call it, hold space for your clients when they're in their sessions. That also is what creates that that ability for people to not only go really deep and access what they need, but also to get activated. There's that support of higher dimensional frequencies or consciousness. I feel, I mean, I'm assuming if a person's ready, well, that's probably why they're guided to come to you in the first place.
yeah.
If a person's ready, that collective is going to help them activate, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And it happens that my higher self is one of those 26 light beings.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I was called upon to, you know, bring them in. And so absolutely, when it's funny, I would say 99% of the people that come to me are like, I don't know, I just saw your face and I knew I had to, you were the one, I've been wanting to do this forever, but I kept holding back. And then I saw you and it was like, her, like, you know, it's so funny, the stories that I hear. And yeah, you're right. It's specifically for a reason, for sure.
I love that people see you and then that's their cue. And it really does work like that. For me, I have people oftentimes say, I heard your voice and I knew that you had something for me. And that's part of my agreement, is to have my voice carry those activation codes. So for you, it's probably your voice and your presence, or your face, that has people, like, it triggers a memory or an awareness of, oh, there's codes there for me. Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
That's amazing. So how do you, I want to just make sure, before we move on, how do you work with people? You do one-on-one sessions, right? And then you also have a YouTube channel and a Starseed group, right?
Yeah. So something that has been really, really big, they keep pushing me to do this, is because people always tell me, oh, I have no one to talk to about this. I feel so alone. I don't have anybody. And I was like, I got to do something about this. So I decided to create a group called the Starseed Connection. And the Starseed Connection is where people come together in Zoom, and I break them into groups of 3. And I let them talk for 45 minutes. And what this does is it creates a deep connection. That's the idea. I want to create deep connection between people so that they do feel comfortable going to this other person about what they saw. Oh, I saw an ET, or they came, or, you know, like ET stuff that you can't talk to anybody about. So the idea is that I put them into groups of 3, break them off after 45 minutes, put them in another group of 3, and then they create more. And then what I've noticed with wa-shay-la is whenever I do this, my vibration is off the roof. I mean, like, it's just crazy. So I created that, and now they're pushing me to do that locally. So they're pushing me to create community locally. So that's why I have a retreat on Moss Park here in Orlando this Friday, actually. and we're going to connect to the elementals. We're going to connect to the trees. But really the idea came from, again, creating community, get to know each other, get to know who's here with you, who can be, support you in the times that are coming, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what's been happening with that. And then in the Quantum Healing of the Soul, my channel, Quantum Healing of the Soul on YouTube, that one has converted. I used to post my sessions, and I still do every once in a while, but editing takes a long time. And I've told you, wa-shay-la, right? I'm leaving behind the doing and more being. So, so editing has kind of gone to the side. So now what I do is I am going after my passion, which is to talk to people and to look for knowledge. And that's why I started the Quantum Tarot, the new videos, the webcasts that we're doing. And so one is based on spiritual truths that we've always been told, dragons, and we're talking about elementals, and we're talking about anything spiritual. And from there, I love the show Ancient Aliens. And I notice sometimes they say things that are not true, or I feel are not true. Now I've been doing an episode and going like, okay, crystal skulls, they say that they think their theory is this, what do the cards say, and so I've kind of combined my passion about talking to people and to look for knowledge, mysteries. I love mysteries. So now that's kind of where I'm going, right? They always say in spirituality and in manifestation, follow your passion. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So now I have a little bit more mix to the sessions and doing the tarot things and doing the connections, the Starseed Connection. And so now I feel more balanced, a lot more balanced.
Yeah, beautiful. And I love everything that you're sharing. We will have links to find you. And if you want to book a session or join the Starseed group with Elisa, that will be in the show notes. So be sure to check there. Thank you. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Thank you, wa-shay-la. So what else do you want to share with us today?
I am offering a free gift to anybody who wants it. It is called Evolving Consciousness Masterclass. And this is a class that it's pre-recorded. It has pineal activation frequencies, heart activation frequencies, receiving gifts from your guidance. There's tuning into central sun, which is, like I said, part of my heart lives in central sun, and the crystalline heart center of Mother Gaia, kind of like we did in the beginning of this at that alignment process. Embodiment of the divine light frequencies, fifth dimensional and higher, practicing, holding those frequencies, tuning in. It's a meditation, an activation, and an alignment to 12th dimensional consciousness frequencies as well. So you get that masterclass. And then as a bonus, I've added in the portal to New Lemuria. I'm all about New Lemuria, which is part of the New Earth. So I have a lecture and a class on that. And then I also added in an Ascension Breathwork course because I want everyone to be able, it's actually one class, but I want everyone to be able to feel and experience what that Ascension Breathwork is like. If you like it, there's plenty more on my website. But to have the access to the free class is a wonderful thing. So you can get to understand how it works. And you can, of course, do it on your own as well if you want to. I think we will close there. And Elisa, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for taking your time to share with us and to help me get this information out. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure. I've really enjoyed today. So thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. And for everyone watching, enjoy the Alchemy of Ascension Season 5. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Namaste.